Away. Did you hear that?
Yep.
Okay, it's all
Hi.
you.
Hi, my name is Melissa and I am a recovered addict. And I definitely have had my fair share of drinking and all the alcoholism as well as, growing up in my teenage years as well. But my main thing that I struggled with the most was hard drugs. And so I'll just start off by telling you like exactly my childhood growing up was not good at all. Um, Most of us that I've seen or hear struggle with addiction have had not have a nice growing up in their childhood, and no child deserves to suffer what I had to go through. And so it's hard to have to realize that I actually went through that, but I have healed a lot of my demons from my past, and so that's really good to be able to open up and share that. As a kid growing up, my parents were not good people at all. I understand now that my mom did the best she could. As far as her husband, I think that he knew all along what the hell he was doing and why he fucking wanted to hurt people. Um, but so I was molested at a very young age. It started at 5, and I was told, if I told anybody my mom would get killed, I would get killed, and just people would get hurt. So I was extremely scared to say anything. So I had to hide that, but I didn't feel like I hid it well enough in, like my physical features, as a little girl, people could see something was going on just because of how I acted. And at a young age, I could disassociate myself from my body just because of the bad stuff that was happening to me. That's how I kind of dealt with the bad things happening to me, is just like disassociate. And so I went through all of that, and then at age probably 12, it started. I smoking weed, um, and then my parents. Well, I don't like to say parents because my mom and her monster husband moved us to Casper, Wyoming, and I was still pretty young at that time, and that's where it all began for me. Like literally, that small Casper town was at the time was the highest crank capital, because back then it was crank. So that's I started on that: a bathtub crank, peanut butter crank, lemon drop crank, all that. And at that time it was just sniffing and smoking and drinking a lot, and whatever I could get my hands on, acid. And we did the party thing down there, and I was a troubled teen, in and out of the juvenile hall down there, and we had a standoff with the Casper and Natrona County Casper, the police department for, oh, how long was it? Like 10 plus hours, and people were that they had to throw tear bombs in that house to get like breaking windows and drag us all out of there underage, and I'm a part of this. And I didn't go to jail at that time, thank God, but I did go back to juvenile hall, and I, just in and out of there. Um, and then from there, at a young age, I experienced going into like a mental psych ward, because just super angry. And this is by the time I'm in my uh, like 15 years old. And so I'm experiencing that side of the world, and like, yeah, I feel like I'm crazy, at that time, but not like that. Going in there, I'm like, wow, this, like it was scary, and it was an eye opener, but I felt like it prepared me for, like, you're gonna see this again. So because I did in my my adulthood after getting sober. And I don't want to sit in the how, like, the nasty stuff too long, but I did my fair share of going in and out of jails. Um, Definitely on my way to prison, but thank God, I found some help to get me to where I needed on the right path. And just a little bit about, so I have my children at, well, I get pregnant at a very young age at 15, and then have my or at 16, excuse me, and then have my baby at the age 16, turned 17 right after, and that was my first son, and his name's David. And um and so I did grow up a lot from that, and I did stop doing drugs at, at that time during the pregnancy. But right after the pregnancy, I was starting to drink again, and I was super against the the hard drugs because I had already experienced that, and I was like, no, 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 no. And but then that's when the alcohol rage started, right? And then I'm having my kids, I get married, and I end up having my twins. And this whole time, like I stopped drinking because I get pregnant, but then right after, breastfeed for a little bit, and then boom, it was right back into drinking because I was still so against. I'm never doing, hard drug again, like F tweakers, and that was for like 10 years, and then I don't, I get a divorce. My marriage ain't good, and I'm drinking, and just things aren't good in my life. I'm depressed, crazy. I know I wasn't the best mom. I took care of my kids. I loved them, and I took care of them the best I did. But they've seen me and their dad fighting constantly, and just me drinking, and like having friends over, and just not being a good role model at all. So I get a divorce, and things go completely south from there, and I just start the drinking, like, even got more out of control. And I just remember I was just so hurt, and just this dark place of just how my life had been going. And I literally took my children and took them to their dad and said, here, you do it, you be the full-time dad, I'm being every other weekend mommy. And I literally left, and I it I ended up relapsing onto meth, and then I did it like smoking and like snorting and taking pills, and um doing all of it that way. And that about for a year, and then I got introduced to shooting up, and it was all over for there from there. And I went homeless, um completely homeless. I went MIA. I didn't talk to my children. I didn't talk to any of my family members. I was just running and gunning the street and causing a ruckus. Like, I'm talking about high speed chases to robbing, like houses, and just, things that I thought I would never ever be a part of, but I did it, and it was crazy. And I went through some really hard stuff as a woman, homeless on a street, on dope, and it's not pretty. And it was, I got into, a few relationships to where, like, I was beaten so bad to where, like, I've had my jaw broke, my toe broke, my ribs broke, broken nose, almost strangled to death. And it just got crazier and crazier and crazier. And it didn't ever get better, you know what I mean? And that first time that I ever, shot up, I was searching for that first high, and I never found it again. You never will find it again, even if you relapse, because I've had a couple of relapses, that led me straight right back into that insanity, that psychosis, seeing shit, because I got so bad to where it really messed with me mentally. A lot of evil stuff around me, a lot of evil people. Um, it's just, it's all just bad out there. And I didn't, and at that point, with just, just being out there, like, there was that little light I could feel left in me. You know what I mean? Like, I knew I have children out there. I know that this is not my life, but I just want to die so bad. And I don't know how to get clean or sober, because growing up, I wasn't taught, or I wasn't loved or cared for like a child should be. And so I hid that emotion, I hid that pain, I hid that fear, all of it. So when I finally got sober in 2013, it I was super close to like killing myself, because I just had it. I remember I'm sitting at the Ogden River, and it's cold. It is literally cold. And I went outside. We were like, I can't remember what that. There's a hotel right behind the river. I can't remember what it's called now. It's tore down now. But I just remember I walked out there, and there's a river, and it's freezing cold outside. I have no shoes on. I have no coat on. And I just, my pants and a shirt, and I go out there, and I'm literally sitting by this river, and it's iced over, and it's super cold. I'm like, I'm just gonna stay here. I'm just gonna freeze to death. Somebody will find my body, and it'll be all done. And that didn't happen. I ended up in jail, and I ended up having a chance to go to the women's retreat house. And I got straight from jail. I went to the women's retreat house, and I remember being in jail for the umpteenth time. Every other time I went into jail, it was, I'm gonna get out, I'm getting high again. Where am I gonna find my next shot? Oh, where's my next cigarette? Where's my next this? But the last time, even my mugshot picture it was different. There was something in my face that was like, from all the other ones, that was like, there's something more for you after this last time. And I believe it, because that's what happened. I went to the women's retreat house, and I tried my best. And it was crazy because the first time I went there, I didn't make it the first 30 days. I actually got kicked out. um yeah, I had the 3 write-ups, and was had that ego going, and that thug. I'm a hard ass from the streets. And I didn't want to listen to anybody, or suggestions. But I did get kicked out, but I got a chance. I didn't relapse. I didn't go back. I didn't get kicked out and relapse. I had a chance to get back in there, and then I did. And I was sober coming up on 4 years. I was married at the time, and I did really good for a while. The marriage wasn't good, it really wasn't. I didn't know how to have a marriage, because I just had when I got clean in 2013, the guy that I married actually took me off the street. And so he was a Mongol at the time, and he took me off the streets, and he showed me a way of recovery, because he had done recovery. At the time, he obviously wasn't, because he found me on the streets. So, but he introduced me into recovery and the church, and I did lots, and I did really good. And but just that the marriage and not being healthy mentally, I ended up relapsing, and it didn't last long, thank God. I was, running and gunning for about a week, and I was visually seeing. So like I'll back up for a second. Like when I got high, like every time I'd shoot up or get super high and I was up for days, like I literally could, I would like, it was a psychosis to where I would see things like coming out of like, the Green Mile, where that guy is literally sucking out that cancer. And then he blows out that black, and all that black particles. Like I could see that coming out of my body, like, and moving on the ground. So like, I don't know, it's crazy, but that's what happened to me. And till this day, I believe that shit was demons. Because the darkness surrounded me and engulfed me, and it was bad. Um, when I relapsed, I I literally, it went right back to that, but 10 times worse, it seemed like, because I had been sober for almost 4 years, and coming off of that psychosis and trying to figure out my, like what's going on. But it went back to that real quick. And even the second time I relapsed, it went back to that. And so, but in July, on the 25th, I will have 6 years. And how it's now, like, I lived in Clearfield in a beautiful home, and in a nice neighborhood. When I first got sober, I lived right in the middle of Ogden, off of Ogden Avenue, and like 29th Street. Yeah. And I stayed sober there too, but I also ended up relapsing there too. Um, just living right in the middle of it all, with all the cops, CSI, people getting shot. Like we finally moved out of there when my fiance, he was getting his son back in his life, and we were finally starting to get overtime, the overnights with them. And a lady actually got shot, a drive-by shooting, drug deal gone bad, right? And an innocent lady sleeping on her couch. And so we're like, yeah, we got to get out of here. So we've been in this house in Clearfield for 5 years now. I own my own, not own, but like I finance my own car, and I almost have it paid off. I have, I've been through multiple jobs, but I've stick with them. And I've learned throughout my years of being sober how to have good work ethic, because I didn't have good work ethic before, especially like when I was using and drinking and stuff and tried to go to work. Yeah, I wasn't a very good worker. So, and I've been blessed multiple times, like my children, it's not all the way 100% with them, but I've been a part of their life. I've had chance to help my older son, because he started going down that path, and he is actually still in that path, but I've been able to try to help him and guide him and be there for him and share my stories with him, and he definitely knows. Um, and just blessed with my job. I just, I just a little backstory is I was just talking about getting back into like sharing my story and being able to sponsor women, because going through the women's retreat house, that's another gift, a beautiful gift that I've been given, as I've been a part of that, being a live-in manager 2 times there. I've sponsored many women out of there. I went through there the one time, and then I went back and actually did the full 90 days. And so I got the full benefit of doing that, and it really helped me. And then coming back and being able to serve for them. And then that's really helped me a lot, being able to learn that and to teach that. And so, but I was sharing I did a goddess circle recently, and I was sharing with the ladies there that I wanted to get back, be a part of that and share my story, and be able to sponsor women, through the pandemic and all that. It's, been hard to do like the one-on-one walk a woman through the 12 steps and stuff. But and then after I did that, then I was asked to speak on this podcast. And so I thought that was really cool because I was just talking about it. And then Friday, I found out that I get a $4 raise. And so that's just amazing, because this company I've only been just a little over a year. And I've had, that feeling in my heart and in my gut, stick with this company because I love the people I work with. At times it can be hard because it's in a warehouse and I work with all guys. And so it can be like frustrating at times too, but I stuck it out, and I'm just like, I wouldn't have been able to do that before. I would quit right away with anything. If like anything I'd ever start, I'd never finish, or I'd mess it up because the alcohol or the drugs or whatever that I was stuck on at the time. And so recovery has taught me a lot. It's taught me how to balance, and it's taught me how to, like, even if they're, like, for me in the beginning, I needed help. I needed someone to help me, to show me the way, to show me structure, to show me that there are steps that I can do that actually work and change my life, to help me find a higher power and help me find um, who I truly am. And without like the steps and having a sponsor and having sisterhood and having like-minded people around me, there's no way I would have found it, because I just, all I knew was drugs, alcohol, abuse, and just living the hard way. And, so I'm really grateful that God led me to the Women's Retreat House and, showed me that there is definitely a way to stay sober. Like I always say, even though I have relapsed, I always say that relapse does not have to be a part of your recovery. It definitely does not have to. And so just it's just a beautiful thing to be able to share your story and to share with other people, to see the light come on in newcomers' eyes. And I strongly believe that I didn't go through all of what I went through. Even when I was a little girl, I just feel like I didn't go through any of that, for no reason. Like I want to flip it into something positive and help other women and other people that has been struggling through it or is going through it, to know that there is a way out of it, and that you can heal, and you can let all that go, because that was one of the hardest things for me, was to heal my abusers, and to forgive them. Like that was super hard. And sometimes I do take that back, but I'm like, yeah, I don't want them to have power over me. No, I ain't taking that shit back. That ain't my cane to hold on to anymore. And I beat it, and I went through it, and I'm here now. I'm here to, help somebody else, to share my story and like, look, it's okay. It's okay if you struggle with drugs or alcohol or whatever it is. Don't be shamed. Don't hide it. Like you can get through it with help. When us, that been through it and been through recovery, or people, not everybody needs meetings, not everybody needs a 12 step, not, like people have their own different ways that work for them, and I love that. because, you know, it has to be different because not everybody is going to, you know, like take the same road. And I really, you know, I'm just grateful to be alive today and to share. I have grandchildren. You know, I just went to the zoo today and spent with my grandchildren and my family and, you know, just living life and still learning and still healing. I struggle. I still struggle mentally sometimes, and that's okay. And you know what? That's another thing. If you struggle mentally through your recovery, you need to reach out and get help for that as well. And, you know, I just want to say thank you for letting me share my story. And I hope that I, you know, touch somebody's heart and help somebody with my message. And, you know, I just want to continue to fight that good fight and to share my story and help others. So thank you and have a good night.